sisters and brothers, this coalition of us that have been gathering here and there and with great regularity in some areas of the day has gathered together to produce a force of people that can bring about an impact and a change in the communities that we so desire. Many of us gather on the heels of great controversies and tragedies in the cities where we live. Those that have gathered here from San Francisco know that the town hall meeting processes began several years ago as the community cried out for support, aid, help, and understanding. As the development that happens there in Bayview Hunters Point unleashed untold measures of asbestos and other poisons on the community and left the community entirely unprotected, even though the community cried out for those that were to have protected them, the government turned the other way.
Right.
The agencies of health turned the other way. Right. The environmental agencies, some of them, turned the other way.
Right.
And so the community determined that it would find a way to protect itself and began the process of town hall meetings. Here in Oakland, that process began with a raid on the Acorn housing community, in which former governor and mayor, now governor candidate Jerry Brown, in his comments of the 15 police force raid at the Acorn, which they said was to clean up the place. Brother Ron spoke to me just a few moments ago telling me how, in essence, while they said they cleaned up the place, that the Acorn and that area has been the constant target of shootings and crimes that they claimed that they cleaned up several years ago with Operation Nutcracker. Well, we began the process of gathering to produce what Jerry Brown said to us was that his reasoning for criminalizing the young people there at Acorn was that there's a force that supported the language that he used, in which he called our young people urban terrorists involved in asymmetrical warfare, a language that was specifically designed to key in all of the elements of national and state government financial support for law enforcement efforts. As I'm talking to you, there in Oakland City Council, debating over whether or not they should continue to spend 80% of the city's budget for law enforcement and fire. Well, I would offer that it is clear that every opportunity law enforcement thinks it has to increase itself, it claims. And so when Mr. Brown was there in Acorn, he was pandering for the prison industrial complex and the police state complexes that seemingly always find money to criminalize young people and seemingly never find money to cultivate and educate our people properly.
That's right.
So we gathered a men's town meeting on Saturday, January the 3rd. And as we gathered, rumor was spread about the murder of our little brother, a father, a son, a cousin, a friend, and by all standards, clearly a good human being. We didn't know him at the time. The video did not reach television, I don't believe, until that night. And as we were gathering that day, on our way home, the news broke that a young man, Oscar Grant III, had been murdered by BART police and that the murder was captured on on videotape. That we needed to have a meeting with the district attorney to find out what it was going to be done about the murder of Oscar Grant. And at that point, this is January the 6th, the answer from the DA's office was nothing. So we called him, put him on a phone from this room, and asked, could we have a meeting? His first answer was no. When the council person pressed him, he moved the answer from no to I'll meet with 3 of you.
That's right. That's right.
We responded, no. There's plenty of us here, all or nothing at all. But his response was, we ain't going to do that. We said, fine. We determined that the next day, January the 7th, that we would have a press conference on the steps of the Alameda County Courthouse to demand justice from the district attorney's office. That press conference happened. We left from the steps of that conference and marched into the DA's lobby and demanded the meeting that he refused the day before. We're very grateful for all of those clergy leaders, faith-based leaders, activists, concerned persons, youth activists, hip-hop artists who went with us to the DA's office and demanded the meeting. When he saw nearly 100 people in the lobby, they called for an elected official to calm us down. It didn't work. He called one of the elected officials that we called to meet the day before. So the official came to me and said, what do you want me to tell him? Before he went to him to find out what to tell us, which is the way elected officials should operate, by the way. So now let's fast forward. Because there's a trial that's undergoing right now that, quite frankly, is the trial of the century. There has never been in the history of this country one law enforcement officer that has ever been convicted for murder for an on-duty act. Johannes Miller, as a result of the pressure of many of you, and I'm very happy to see the Oakland Coalition for Justice for Oscar Grant and the General Assembly members that are here, you all raise your hands. Many others who laid enough pressure on the DA not only to bring charges, but laid enough pressure to make him to retire. Who laid enough pressure on Bart not only to fire the chief, but laid enough pressure to make the chief retire. So we're very thankful for what has happened to this point, but now we are looking at the trial of the century. Right. Johannes Miller is the first peace officer in state history ever to be charged with the murder of anybody in this state. The DA's office has the tremendous duty of prosecuting a case like none has ever been prosecuted before.